Welcome to the Object of the Game for Coach Chuck Kyle. I'm Maureen Kyle, and today we are going to talk a lot of different sports, but considering it's golf season for pretty much any casual golfer, we wanted to come up with who's a guest that we could have on to talk about golf. And no better person than Brett Sterba, who is director of the Masters at Augusta National. So, he is the one, when you're watching the Masters tournament, all of the details, this is Brett's job. But he is an Ignatius grad, played football, started out by playing soccer, then played football. His story is great. He just happens to be in town, so we're getting him on the show. And Dad, now that you are a golfer, do you have an appreciation as you watch these tournaments?
Well, especially the Masters. Come on, that's just a great show.
Yeah.
The tradition and just the whole approach to it. And this past year was really dramatic and emotional and everything like that. But the history is kind of important. And this won't be a show of going, hey, now, when you putt, make sure we're not going to do that. There's another show on Big Play that handles all that, and he does a great job. But we're going to talk about what does it take to handle something as big as the Masters. And there's all sorts of people working, but it does have to come down to a certain guy that is the linchpin of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to see.
Right. And Brett's story is great because, like so many of our guests, he started out in a completely different sport with a completely different passion and then had to work his way up a couple of times throughout his career. First, unexpectedly football, and then finding himself wanting to get into the business side of things. And here he is, in charge of one of the most notable sports events of the year. Not just tournaments. Right. This is when you're talking Super Bowl, Masters, you're talking Kentucky Derby. These all eyes are on what he's able to do.
Right. I hope as young people are watching and anybody watching, you're going to see how yes, in high school he wasn't on the golf team. Mm-hmm. He wasn't. Did he golf? Sure. But soccer team, great soccer player, going into our Ignatius Hall of Fame this year. Football-wise, great kicker. Goes on to be an All-American at William & Mary University. But notice just the sports experience. That whatever sport you're involved in, there's a commonality of all the sports. And that's what it ended up, even football, soccer, whatever, ends up going for him in golf and has led to this very interesting career.
Yeah. And just great all-around guy. I've known Brett since I was about 14. So it's great to have him here as our guest today. We want to thank our sponsor, Infinity of Beechwood and Infinity of Akron. You can discover the perfect new Infinity to match your lifestyle at Infinity of Beechwood and Infinity of Akron, now under new ownership. From the moment you walk in these beautiful dealerships, you'll experience the luxury, care, and innovation that define the Infinity brand. It is luxury redefined. Test drive the 2025 QX80. We have more with Brett Sterba, the director of the Masters tournament at Augusta National. Welcome back to the Object of the Game. Today we are talking a little bit of every type of sport, a little soccer, a little football, and eventually some golf. Our guest today is Brett Sterba, who I have known for a long time, and my dad has known even longer, and he has quite the resume. Brett, first of all, thank you for taking time on your technically vacation to come on in and spend some time with us.
My pleasure. It's always good to be in Cleveland. We don't do it enough.
I agree.
There you go.
I agree. And his wife's sitting right over here. I think they need to visit more.
What a place. Weather is perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
at least
not,
now.
But that's okay.
Right. But, Dad, go through when you and Brett first met.
Okay.
We have a lot to get to with him.
I got to say, your dad was a year older than I was at St. Ignatius High School. Your dad. So I knew him. This goes back. Now we're really going ancient today. We go all the way back to high school and doing that, So, okay, so how years go by, here's this this young Brett Sterba, and he is defender on the soccer team. I want to make sure positions are right. You're going to help me with that, right? A defender, right? So you were pitching shutouts out there. They couldn't score against us, and you let the other guys score a lot.
Yes.
What a man for others that is, right? I don't know. I would imagine everybody wants to be up there scoring, but that's great. What nice
I was
that
limited.
you did it. Oh, yes. I was limited. Well, let me go. Let me clarify. Now, it wasn't limited because here he is playing soccer at the same season we're playing football, and here's our place kicker for state championship teams. Your senior year, we were national champions, right? And we're winning. Mm-hmm. There's some games where, thank God, he's the kicker because he's burying kicks. And the kicking game, we always believed in the kicking game and did that. And so this whole situation, and what I have to give him credit right now, of a young man, I hope high school kids are listening, how organized he was. Because soccer was the same time as football. So Mike McLaughlin, his soccer coach, I coached him. I think I coached Abraham Lincoln, to be honest with you, the way things are going. But anyway, I coach, and we would go, all right, when's your game this week? Okay, we're at 7, you're at 2. Well, Brett, and then you'd get there somehow. He'd win the soccer game, run over, come to the football game and win the football game for us, right?
Yeah. So you remember all this, Brett?
I remember a lot of it. There's some good stories if we want to get into any of that, but I'd certainly organization is one that we can talk about too.
Yeah, I would, because being a high school kid, you just, okay, he'll be here, don't worry. He doesn't need that much warm up, I guess. This time he's running in, carrying his shoulder pads and helmet. Yeah. There's the net, kick into the net.
Well, I think growing up, I had heard, of some soccer players that then ended up being the kicker on the football team. But was that pretty common? Like, Brett, did you start out, you're a soccer player. Mm-hmm. Did you ever have any visions of playing football when you were that age?
I played football middle school over at Burness, and I was a public school kid. Right. Liked it there, but soccer was my sport, and thought about trying out for the freshman team. Ultimately, 2 other kids that were on our soccer team did do that, and they played at least 1 or 2 years. And then my junior year was literally probably after taking your sophomore English class. Oh, grew to like you, respect you.
Wow, look at that.
And wanted an opportunity to try to play for you. So I always say it was on a whim that I tried out, or said that I wanted to try out, and spent that summer trying to teach myself how to kick or learn from others who were kicking already. Nick Paez was a help. A couple others that were local that did that, but that was on a whim.
Yeah, it worked out well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nick Paez now has a golf school. How's that? Yeah. I got my clubs from him. I got lessons from him. So if you kick for St. Ignatius, your golf future
you're going to end up in golf.
Enhanced immensely. I don't know how that, but just as a coincidence. Yeah. All right, but let's get to the back here.
Yeah.
So,
that's a lot. That's a lot for, now a lot of parents are taking kids in between sports, but to be at the high school level, usually you pick and choose. You kind of did the opposite, where you're adding more. Mm-hmm. Do you remember those days of having to look at your sport calendar and figure out, all right, how do you prioritize?
Yeah, naturally, the coaches were the ones organizing the game, so thanks for that. But the schedule was, you were. I think I went to football practice first, and we usually did something right at the beginning of practice, after stretching or warm up.
We always had special teams, and he would. How much time you got, Brett? Okay, we got 15 minutes. Let's go. We
would go kick a few balls, run through kickoff or anything else that we were doing those days, and then go to soccer naturally and finish that practice. But a lot of what it was is what happened afterwards, and that's where I think you were really asking the question is, my time has been, I've had to focus on doing certain things at certain times and have a schedule, whatever that schedule is, even if it's somewhat fluid. But to prioritize and be able to keep up in school, I wanted to go to a smart school, a public school, or a top school if I could, and that's what William & Mary was for me. And if I could play sports there, that was a win. Right. But what I learned at Ignatius and being able to compartmentalize sports work, schoolwork, etc., and then still be able to kind of do everything I need to do on the field and keep up off the field was really important. And that was something that we really, like, I didn't, we were studying on buses, planes, trains, whatever.
Right.
It wasn't like, it's not a top 5 program where, you're about the sport. This was about education in school.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it, and if I may, just an important thing for people to realize that the organization needed, and keeping the door open as far as multi-sports. So many people think, I can only focus on one. Well, you're a great example of, wait, obviously you golfed sometimes as a teenager, I'm sure. And the point being made is, there's soccer, here's football, and you manage that. And then William and Mary, All-American at William and Mary kicker. All-American, okay? The way that recruiting worked, I mentioned kickers when he was going there, the college team was a little hesitant to give anybody a full ride if you're a kicker. They wanted you to what? Come to our school, we'll make sure your grades and everything get you in, and then if you win the job, you get the scholarship. That's how it would work back then. And that's what he did, right? So, that's what happened for you. And All-American. Place kicker, All-American. How about that, Ben? Right?
Forget the All-American stuff, but to your point.
You were!
Okay. But, I was a rising junior in high school and on a whim started football. So I had expected to go to college and play soccer. Mm-hmm. And naturally, all I did was kickoffs my junior year. So truthfully, I didn't even kick a field goal until I would say my 4th try, because I remember the first game I missed the first 3. Oh. And against Euclid or something, and coach came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, are you okay?" So from that, but that I had no plans to play football in college. That was all by chance. Stars aligned.
There's a lot more stars that align. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how you even had a chance in the NFL and all of that, and what it's all led to. So we'll be right back with more with Brett Sterba on The Object of the Game. Welcome back to The Object of the Game, sponsored by Lakespur Marketing. Lakespur is a full-service ad agency built on trust, strategy, and performance. From digital ad placement to broadcast buys to creative and everything in between, Lakespur has you covered. At Lakespur Marketing, this isn't just a set-it-and-forget-it strategy. All tactics are customized to your needs. They really are a boutique agency that will take a look at their client, figure out what you need the most, and go from there. So thank you to Lakespur Marketing. We're talking with Brett Sterba, who is a St. Ignatius grad, William and Mary grad, and we were just talking about how your sports career took turns you didn't really expect. So at William and Mary, were you expecting to eventually get a tryout with NFL? Like, was that ever a goal when you were there?
I would say it was. I was playing sports, so obviously to ascend to the highest levels is a goal,
right?
Naturally, but I mean, we talked about it. I was a walk-on, recruited walk-on. I backed up an All-American when I first got there. Right. He was 3 years older than me, so I got to rest my first year, and then starting my second year, started on kickoffs. Then the following 3 seasons where I did everything. I think as I gained more confidence and realistically, I in the summers I spent time going to camps and was a camp counselor. It's a way to make money and compete with peers of mine in the collegiate ranks. And we went all over the country, but I'm trying to think. Some of the kickers that were with me were like Ohio State's kicker, Stanford's kicker, Notre Dame's punter, Louisville's kicker. And I was just as good as them. Yeah. And then I started getting some confidence. And then I naturally just started to get a little bit better. Right. And had a couple good seasons and, got a look and a cup of coffee in the NFL.
That's crazy. I mean, that's an amazing opportunity.
That's what can happen.
Yeah.
Young people have to realize that keep the doors open, right? I mean, he's a multi-sport guy. And he left that door open, and it paid off. Let's face it, it paid off. I don't know how many times you golfed in college, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
We'll get it. It seems like you were kind of busy, so anyway. But, Coach Laycock was your head
Yes, sir.
coach.
Yep.
Good coach. Yeah.
Great golfer.
Great golf. See, there it was.
Maybe that was it.
You certainly didn't get it from me golfing because
He's a newbie.
I took a
Yeah.
30-some year hiatus because of all
Well-deserved.
the other stuff I had to do. But anyway. But just to go to college, you're the kicker. You put in situations where you got to win the game, you know, and that you handled that, which is beautiful.
Was there ever a moment at maybe William and Mary that you could think of, like, was there a kick that you made that made the difference, like won the game or turned the
Never.
tables?
Yeah, certainly kicks that mattered.
Yeah.
I never had during my career a walk-off or,
Yeah.
you know, with time expiring in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I've made some with a minute to go. Or,
There would be two fairy tale. There would be two storybook right there.
No, the probably the only time I ever did a walk-off one time was as an alumni.
Oh yeah? Wait, how does that work?
This is a weird story, but just bear with me for 1 minute.
All right.
We went back to a playoff game or a homecoming game, maybe 3 or 4 years after I graduated. We walked outside to go get a Coke or something. You could re-enter our stadium, and walked back in. And the person at the front ticketing gate goes, "Hey, do you want to win airline tickets?" And I was like, "Sure. What do you have to do?" They're like, "You have to kick field goals."
Oh, no way. They picked the right
So-
guy.
Hey, did the guy know?
No,
He didn't know,
I did not know him.
There's
This is
no
the-
way he knew.
I promise you, I got a call from the athletic director the weekend after.
Yeah.
I was like, "Here, I promise you, there's no funny business here, but I had to go out at halftime in khaki pants and dress shoes, and had to make a extra point, a 30-yarder, and then a 40-yarder." And that was my only walk-off because I walked off like
Yeah.
Larry Bird in the three-point shootout. So that was my only chance of ever experiencing that.
It's an alumni event. They have your name right there. They didn't put
they
two
just-
and two
It
together.
was a young intern at the gate doing something,
Yeah.
but they didn't know 4
Yeah.
years ago.
Where did you fly?
I
Did
flew
you
home
get
to
it?
Cleveland.
There you
There you go.
The destination of all destinations.
Yes, all roads
I mean,
lead to
where
Cleveland,
else
right?
would you take your vacation?
What else would you get free
Right.
tickets for?
Right.
Could you imagine a major college team bringing back their quarterback to like throw a ball through the tires?
Yes. The winner gets $10,000. You just have to throw it through these tires.
Briefly, just because your son's here too. Like those, was it 1 year NFL? Was
It was like 4 months.
4 months. Okay, but what
April
was
a
through
year.
training camp. So.
Yeah.
How many kids dream about that time though? I mean, you get to go to training camp. Like, what's going through your mind when you're at that level?
I think I didn't realize how serious it was. That was my first takeaway. Is this is people's livelihood.
Right. This is
I just thought it's got another 4 years of college. Now we're kicking with the big guys. I couldn't see over the linemen.
Oh, no way.
Um,
On long field goals.
Really?
They were just so much. They were 6'7", 6'8".
Yes, oh, yeah.
We're 6'3", 6'4", maybe at William and Mary, but these guys were massive, and so like a long field goal, I couldn't see the uprights.
Oh, really?
There was a time we did a 2-minute drill one time during one of our mini camps or camps, and I never saw. It was a 53-yard field goal. Went in, thankfully. We did our job. I never saw the ball go in, and the telling sign to me when this was all done is after practice. I think it was Coach Sherman at the time. Congratulates the first team offense for stopping the defense, and I was on second team. And he goes, "Stemke, way to make the kick." and Kevin Stemke was our punter. That was a free agent from Wisconsin. So I knew my time was short.
That gave you a hint, didn't it?
I called my agent that night. I was like, "Hey, man, he didn't even call me the right name. He doesn't know who I am. We're in trouble."
Yeah.
I think I'm going to look for a little different career, huh?
Yeah, so-
And you sure did. You sure did.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know
huh?
what's so funny? I just realized as I introduced you heading into this, I have not even given your title since the first segment, which is Director of the Masters at Augusta National. So it's not like you haven't, that was your one stint in the big time. Like you are dealing with the creme de la creme in golf all the time, just in case you're just tuning in and catching us now.
Prerequisite for that job is not being a
kicker.
that didn't make the NFL. I don't think that was it.
No.
So when that door closed, hello, kids out there, another door can open. Just keep your eyes up and keep your focus in that.
Right.
This
so-
is the story that has to be told because here's this young kid who walks away from the Green Bay Packer. Okay, bye. You don't even know my name. And here we go.
Yeah. Well, that's how we're going to talk about how you had to work your way back up to the big time there. Let's take a quick break so that we can fit in a commercial, and then we'll have more with Brett Sterba when we come back. Welcome back. You are watching The Object of the Game. We have Brett Sterba. As I just mentioned, he is the director of the Masters, like the tournament that even if you don't really watch a lot of golf, you watch that one. And we're going to talk about how he got into, I say that as like myself. Like I don't watch all the tournaments, but I watch that one, maybe because I know who's organized the whole thing. But when you're talking about getting into the PGA, and like, so you walk away from your brief stint with the NFL in Green Bay. Why golf? Like, how did that?
Yeah. So sports and business, I knew I wanted to work in sports.
Yeah.
I knew that. I had another job for a year after I was cut, and I hated it. And I gutted it out for a year, and I was like, all right, I got that on my resume, first job. But knew that I wanted to work in sports, and found that golf was an avenue that worked for me. It wasn't easy, I will say that. When I was cut, I went back to, I'd spent a year trying to catch on with another team, but I was like cleaning golf clubs and washing golf carts with a degree. So a little tough to handle, like when all my friends are coming down and doing stuff and wanted to take trips. I was like, hey, I can't, sorry.
Yeah.
But, I would say to me, I wanted to do something I liked. I wanted to go to work and enjoy it every day. And, that to me is why sports came in, and naturally just golf found that avenue for me. I thought that was important, and that's what keeps me going to work. Right. Certainly there are a lot of things that we continue to try to get better and do the best at Augusta National, but I always wanted to go to a place that I loved, and that was golf for me and sports. And it's been a good ride for my family, but now we don't have to move anymore. We're also stationary, which was one part of my old job that wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I believe when you make that, you went on to get your master's degree at Ohio U in business administration.
Yes.
Okay, so he was still covering those bases very nicely. But here it is, you're starting it. Come on. They don't open the door at the Masters or the PGA. You had to be volunteer work, right?
Yeah,
Some volunteer work.
Even to get my foot in the door at the PGA Tour, which was my first job as an intern, right? I mean, this is an intern, guys, not a salary job.
How old are you when you're
I'm
interning?
23, 24.
Okay. Yeah. Because most people think intern, you're in college, and
And this is 2 years out of school.
Yeah.
And interned, but what I had to do to get that internship is I volunteered at I'll call it a dozen different tournaments across anywhere from Texas to Ohio. Right. I put 20,000 miles on my car that summer. Oh, wow. Went $5,000 in debt just to get a job that when I was finished, I still didn't have the job. And I went back to working at the golf course, and I literally was at Publix stocking shelves overnight.
Oh my gosh!
And then got the internship. Naturally, hopefully everything went well in the internship. Then I got my first real job after that. And that was with PGA of America, and stayed with them for 10 years, moving across the country and running different events.
And that would be, every 2 years?
Like about that,
stay somewhere for 2 years?
Usually we had teams that would leapfrog each other. Yeah. And so we had
That's
the
what
even numbers or the odd numbers.
You would somehow there was a conversation in the past. Well, 2 years there, and then I'm going to go there and there. And it's like, wow, you're just keep your bags packed. It seemed like you're going to be moving.
And you were here. You were in Cleveland for
I was 08, 09. I think I was here for the senior PGA at Canterbury.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that time, and it was the best part about that was coming back and seeing people like you, seeing friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. Cleveland is a special place. I know this isn't a podcast about Cleveland, but
right. But it is magical. Yeah, we're just trying to convince your wife and son to move back, but that's okay. So, how is it that the Masters job becomes available? Like, how is it that became available to you?
It was it was posted publicly. I think they went through one search and didn't find the right candidates, and then 6 months later they posted it again. And I was running the PGA Championship at Valhalla at that time in 2014, and I got a call. And I'll tell you why I remember this. Is I got a call on Wednesday of the tournament. It said Augusta National on my phone. I'm like, oh, I'll grab it.
Why not? Pick
right.
it up.
And it was someone from HR just saying, hey, you know, can you come and interview, or can we want to set up an interview? I was like, can you give me like a week to get through this tournament, and I'll happily call you and then. But it was posted publicly, I will say that.
Wow.
But you know, I'm very thankful that they gave me the opportunity, and I've loved my time there.
Yeah, because you were doing things at the PGA,
Correct.
on the tour. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, you know, the Ryder Cup you worked with,
Yes,
and I mean, just the
Ryder Cup, the PGA Championship.
Players Tournament.
Players Championship was one I worked on as an intern.
I'm flying through my
Yes.
pro,
Yes.
You know, weekend.
You're getting there, yeah.
Tournaments.
I
I'm
like
going. He had to do that one. He had to have done that one. You know.
And this
so
is-
you're already establishing young people a resume.
Yeah.
That means every time you go to a job, you do a great job, so that you get a good grade in what you do, and that's obviously what
Accountability.
happening.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, you need to show up.
Yeah.
And when you get to wherever it is you're going, you have to show up to practice. You have to show up to work. You have to be prepared. Those are all things that come with that organizational skill. To me, that was really important in my life. And if you show up at a meeting, you need to have backup. And if they're going to ask this question, be ready with that answer.
Right.
And that's what's helped me personally move forward in my career. But that was something that was ingrained by my parents, by my teachers, etc. So,
And this is a lot of detail. Like you are working in, like you dot every I, cross every T. Like what is, like just as an example for anybody who doesn't know, like what are, like just name a couple of the details that you have to figure out that people might not be realizing as they're watching.
Yeah, everybody might not be familiar with how a golf tournament's run,
Right.
but so my job entails three things. Like one is inside the ropes, so the competition, the officiating, the rules. That's one piece of my job. The other piece of my job is outside the ropes, meaning logistics, traffic, parking, signage, anything logistically that goes on with the event, we support. And then the last side of my job is ticketing. So the way that we sell tickets at the Masters is a little bit unique compared to other events, but those are the three things that I work on. But the details, you can go down to the how many parking spaces do we have, or how many shuttles do we have.
Yeah.
But at a macro level, that's really what I help put together.
This year's Masters was a great tournament, beautiful, how dramatic ending, and people are crying and everything. So the next day, you probably started working on the.
I
it
was
has
there.
To be almost close to that, right?
Yes, I was there probably 6:30 the next day.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much work is done in the 12 hours that I left, maybe at 7 or 9 o'clock at night and got back there. But it doesn't stop.
It just doesn't stop. It's got to be 364 days.
It is. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we take Christmas off
We
usually.
wanna hear
Okay,
some
that's
stories.
nice.
Well, there you go. You get
Ho, ho,
Christmas.
ho. There you go.
That's a benefit.
Yeah.
We want to hear some stories. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Thanks for watching The Object of the Game. We are with Brett Sterba, who, by the way, is a soon-to-be St. Ignatius Hall of Famer. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And quite deserving.
Yes.
Quite deserving.
Yep.
I think my mom is most excited.
Oh, good.
My grandfather was in the inaugural class there.
Oh, no way.
In
I didn't know that.
1986.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think she's most excited.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing.
That's right. I remember that.
Well,
Ooh,
I mean,
that'd be
you
fun.
have some stories to tell between PGA, Masters, and any interactions that you can think of. I know if somebody's a golf fan, they want to know, like, what golfer have you interacted with that you really enjoyed? Or, like, is there somebody that made a big impression on you?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a funny story. Maybe there's a couple of things that we've done. When I was with PGA, we used to bring our champions in for a media day, and we would take them all around our city that we were in. That's a new city each year. And one time we had Keegan Bradley. Good timing because he's our Ryder Cup captain this year. Keegan, we took him to the aircraft carrier in Charleston Harbor and had him hit biodegradable golf balls into the water at a target, and he hit the target. I mean, it was amazing what he did. We took Jason Duffner to the Derby one year. That was quite funny. He was hilarious. But those were some of the fun interactions.
Yeah.
I in my role, I don't interact with players purposely. Normally, if they're talking to us for any reason, it's probably because something bad happened. So I am not friends with many players. Sometimes we cross paths, but that's
Yeah.
it's just a professional courtesy that we stay away from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you like when that moment happens? You know, the final day at the Masters. It's the final, putt that solidifies it. Are there any of the wins that you think stand out the most to you in your mind?
They're all special. It's like your favorite kid, right?
Yeah, right.
I think for me, it's not about who won. I will say it's about we like you said, 364 days a year.
Oh, yeah.
We work on putting that tournament together, and when that final putt drops, whether it's in a playoff or a 10-shot win, whatever it may be, whoever does that, it's a sigh of relief that we've made it through the week successfully.
Right.
That's really what
Cars
I
are
would say.
still in the parking lot, but he has a sigh of relief. I can
Brett's
imagine.
also crying as the player who just won has the tears.
So we joke around it at my house. I am a glorified event planner as well. That's what I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when that event is over, and those who were there are happy, those who are my bosses, or those who are responsible for running the tournament are happy. Like that's a win for us. So there's a lot of work that goes into that, and some of the tournaments that I used to work on, I would live in a market as much as 3.5 years in advance, and maybe as little as 1 year in advance to put together that event.
Yeah, just think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, the calendar, you'd have to be, like I'm repeating, but like you're saying, years in advance, maybe. But now you had to move there, or you had to really get a chance to understand how the dynamics are going to happen for that tournament.
Did you help
where they're going to stay? Where they're going?
course then too when or was the course already chosen and then you had to? Okay.
So what would happen is the gentleman who was in charge of our competition when I was with PGA would pick the site and sign the contract, and then we would go in, our team, and our team's job was to establish yourself in the market. Make contacts, build the business plan for the tournament, recruit the volunteers, sell the hospitality, sell the tickets, market the event, and then build it, and then tear it down and leave. That's what we did in a nutshell.
I have a son-in-law in the hotel business.
Oh,
I bet you talk to who does that sort of, hey,
Very
here comes
similar.
a golf tournament, or here comes some that, and those are they've got to meet you. Got to meet with them. They got to then you work on. Wow. That's something we're going to talk about this weekend as my son-in-law comes into town. Because that's their job, and that's what you have to, what's going to be the best for the players.
Yeah.
Right?
And the secret is you have to get to the hotels before you make the announcement. That's the secret. Otherwise, the room rates go up.
Oh, okay.
Little business I didn't
What do you
know.
like? What was the most difficult when you have to look at all of that? I'm thinking the only thing I've ever planned is a wedding, and you got to get the date and the church. It's like, so what were those two things that you had
Every
to get
site
first?
logistically is different. My favorite site in the world is Kiowa Island, South Carolina. I love the ocean course.
Yeah.
I love the people there. Logistically, it is 2-lane road from Charleston down to the ocean course. And then you get on a private barrier island, and you have 12 miles down a winding road to the ocean course. So logistically, it's absolutely, it blows your mind how tough it can get. And then when you have things you can't control, so like weather, when you have to evacuate golf courses or make those tough decisions, when you compound that with a very tough logistic golf site like Kiowa, it becomes very difficult.
Wow.
But that's still my favorite site in this entire world to host a tournament. That I was a part of in my past life.
That takes courage to say that's a place we should do the
Right.
PGA.
We can airdrop people.
because you
It's
can.
fine.
I can just when you as he's talking, you can sit there going. It would be so easy to go. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go one that has 4 highways coming into it, and and look at all these restaurants and hotels right by. I could see that one.
Do you remember
man.
Super Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida?
Yes.
What'd they have to do because they had hotel room shortages?
Oh, I don't even remember.
They brought cruise ships in.
Did they?
Into the harbor.
Yeah, now that
And
you
then-
mention it,
and
now I
that's-
remember that.
That's what they did. So you have to adjust,
Wow.
and somebody's
Yes.
business plan at the time.
But you have
was-
to do. You'd have to do that all the time.
Yeah.
You're good. That
We're good.
had to be really hard to get to sleep at times.
That's when you rotate the site. That's what makes it very difficult. Is logistically things change, and you can't repeat the same plan over and over.
Right.
It makes you use your head a lot more.
Right.
Where when you're at one place, you just figure out how to make it better.
Right.
Each year we can do these 10 things differently.
Yeah.
But when you're moving and you have to start that whole party over again, that's the difficult thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
I knew this was going to be an interesting interview. This is mind-boggling. I mean, when you start, next time you turn in a tournament, Patrick, you're going to have to go, wait a minute. What?
I wonder-
It's not just, does
was
everybody
it
have
this
a ball?
Right.
All right, let's start, you know? I mean, this is amazing.
Put your cell phones away.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that
Cell
one
phones
was interesting.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, we're going to take you back to English class.
Uh-oh.
Next segment. This is it. This is where we've sent you the vocab words, and you're going to feel like you're right back in the classroom at St. Ignatius. And the induction class this year, you're also with Brian Hoyer,
Yes.
who was also on this show.
Brian.
That'll be a good
Yes.
induction class. Yeah.
And we have,
All right.
yes,
We made him
Mark
do this too,
Kane.
just so you know. All right. We'll be right back. We have made it to the final block here at the object of the game, which means we're going to do a little vocab lesson and then the quote. Did you ever have to write the quote?
Yes, and I'm going to butcher the quote. I know one.
You remembered the quote you had to write? 'Cause that was-
Over and over, yeah.
yeah,
You only had to write it 50 times.
just 50.
I don't remember what he did wrong, but or something.
was
I don't
the
know what it
punishment.
was.
If he
I
got
wasn't
into
that
trouble, he had
mean.
to write
I don't think I
a
was
quote
mean.
over and over again.
But it was just, you know,
Yeah.
I figured if he memorized, after 50 times you memorize some Shakespearean quote, you can, who knows, you're going to be at the Masters and be able to, Shakespeare once said,
Yeah.
you do that? And everybody would be going, whoa, that guy's,
Yeah.
little did they know he had to do it because I don't know what, you forgot your homework or something.
Yeah.
I
Who
forget
knows?
what it was, right?
But I think I got you a second time around, and it was a fourth year class as
Okay,
well.
Chaucer and Shakespeare, wasn't
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't give a quote back then. They're seniors. How can I? Seniors, write the quote. And come on, they're already on their way to college. What am I going to do? Right?
Okay, so the
Anyway,
vocab word, though,
yes.
is, and we've talked about it a little bit here, things that you've learned by playing sports, which is really what, as a parent, you're a parent going through this crazy world of sports. What do you want the kids to learn?
Yeah,
What
and you
is it
hope that
life lesson that they learn.
that these things, right there, that these themes definitely apply to sports, but also, you know, walk out of the golf course, walk down the street, they still apply in a lot of things you do. And I never want to know until we're going to do this show. But we've had a lot of fun conversations with this. So. All right, here we go. Let's see
So,
what you
I
came
mean,
up with.
I touched on it a little bit earlier. I didn't know this segment was coming. So,
We didn't give you the whole cheat sheet. Yeah.
To me, it was accountability, and you know, the other one, I since I did talk about that a little bit earlier, I'll go into something that I probably am not prepared to talk about, but it might be a good question for you too. Is as I thought about, my son's at the soccer camp this week on Kyle McLaughlin Field, and I was trying to think about, like, how do you build and establish a culture? I've come into many cultures that were already established. I came into your team that was established. Coach Mike was brand new. I had him as his first year as a soccer coach.
Wow.
Right.
So he was starting his culture there, and you know, I saw him maybe a little bit of the servant leadership. He was on the field with us participating. You weren't knocking people over during
No,
practice.
that never
but
worked.
but so you know, that was something that I think I know how I built my culture of my team that I work with, and some of the traits that I put into it. But what if, you know, how do you establish culture from the beginning when you started your coaching career?
I think what's very important is that I didn't walk into, well, first of all, it's your personality. You don't try to be something you're not, because that young people your son's age realize that right away. That's not who he is. What's he trying to do? Don't do that. But what's very important is that you don't get up there saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm demanding this, and I'm the stronger." And no, you develop that those kids that you have, those players that you have. I don't care what level it is, college, pros, even high school, that they look at you and trust you. They got to trust me. I always felt they had to trust me, that I was going to do the best I could to help them. I would want to do the best I could to help you become a good kicker. And if you felt that, I'm in good shape. I felt I was in good shape, you know, because I never yelled, you know. It's harder to kick a field goal, you know. But I always liked it because in high school, I don't want to get into the rules, but we tried long ones because it's just, if it goes into the end zone, it's like a punt. It goes back onto the 20. There's a lot of college coaches who didn't know that, but in high school, it's just like a punt then. Okay, fine. Let's try to get 3. And with the way he could kick, we'd try 50-yarders. Why not, right? As long as it didn't get to your head. As long as you went, it's okay to miss it. It's windy out there. But anyway, my point being made is that there was a trust. And I felt if they trust that, those players trust that I would just do best I can to have them be able to play the best they can, that I'm doing what I could, you know? And once you start it, then the culture's good. Yeah. Culture's good.
There's buy-in.
Yes.
That's what I always thought, is like, if I could do something that the group I'm working with, my teammates or the people I manage, if they can buy into whatever it is that we're, I would say, what the right word is, but truly, if it's authentic, it's who you are. Like those are things that, with that buy-in, you can start the culture, and then hopefully good things happen, and it's the culture of winning and not losing. But those are things that I was thinking about.
I think good things end up happening. I do. I think in this world, good things start happening if everybody's on the same page and everybody, because there's going to be disappointments, there's going to be frustrations, but how do you work your way out of that? Okay, let's sit down together and let's climb our way out of this, and it does happen. It happens. And
that's a great point, though, too, because anywhere, culture matters. Like anywhere you're working or whatever group you're a part of, if there's no buy-in, if there's no culture, a good one, then people don't stay and people don't have that that connection.
Right. There's one of the things is, I'm glad you brought that up, because we've never had somebody talk about pride. We've done this show a number of times, but the people working together, they got to be proud of the way they act and proud of the way they play and proud of what they accomplished.
Yes.
Proud how they fight their way back.
Yeah, you can
Pride
always
can be a good word. It can be a virtue.
It's easy to put structure or rules or goals down, but if you can't trust and believe in them and then live the culture and celebrate once you achieve those, that to me is a little bit where culture came from.
And then just to swing this back around, notice the culture at the Masters tournament. I mean, when that thing comes on TV, there's special music being played. It's only played for that tournament, right? And it's just, okay, this tournament's a little special. I mean,
they're getting into branding now. Yeah.
Oh well.
But
is he getting a raise for this? I don't
Brett
know.
composed that music.
But
Let's start some
a great
rumors.
example outside of golf is Wimbledon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean
that's coming up too.
That's going on right now. That's a brand that has established a culture.
That is
a sports brand. Yes.
I mean, people will watch
Wimbledon.
They got to get up at 4 a.m. around here to watch it or something like that. They're going to watch that.
Yeah.
And they're going to watch the Masters, right? Who won the PGA? Oh, that's good. And they'll, sorry. Now I'm getting you in trouble. I got it. Your dad's in trouble because I said that.
He's got to get to a tea time.
Okay.
Let's get him his quote.
All right. Okay. This is not you probably have heard this quote. It's used so often. And it's actually from the play Richard III. And it's actually at a moment when Richard, he's a villain, okay, and his oldest brother thinks everything's wonderful, that he solved all the problems. And about 10 seconds later, and this is Act 2, anytime you watch Shakespeare, Act 2, the bad guy sets up all his evil, and the good guys don't know. Well, his older brother doesn't know, and he's thinking everything's wonderful, and this King Edward, his older brother, goes, "Now I have done a good day's work." What happens after that play? Too bad there, King. You got trouble coming. But to do what you have to do, the Masters ends. The next day, here we go. I got to start working again. That's a challenge. And the quote, "Now I have done a good day's work." It's nice to be able to finish the day and go, I know the tournament is 363 days away, but today I took a step towards it. It's a good day if you take a step towards it. So, handling that type of schedule is so unique, Brett. So unique. I mean, I was always, I had a week to prepare, right? It's always like, okay, I finish the game, take a deep breath. All right, here we go. And it's coming up in another 6-7 days, right?
So there was a fun quote that my boss actually said this in one of our documentaries that they filmed a couple years ago, maybe during the COVID year or something like that, when we moved the tournament to November. He said something along the lines, I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was something along the lines of, if you had 51 weeks to prepare, for guests coming to your house or for the tournament, imagine how much detail you could put into that planning. And that's what we try to do, I would say, at work. But we also do take time on that afternoon when it finished to say, what a great day.
Yeah. You hope you have a good day every time. So, okay, that was nice. Thank you, Shakespeare. Now I have done a good day's work. There you go.
I know. It's always so fun. I'm always looking for you in the crowd. That's why one of the reasons I watch, or I watch to see if Katie's walking around. But so great to catch up. You got to get to your tea time while you're in Cleveland. You got to make the most out of your Cleveland time. But thank you so much for
it's
talking
great to
with
see you
us.
guys.
Yes, great to have you
Thank
back.
you for having me.
I just fun to reminisce
I know.
the things.
And he'll be
look what
back
you've
soon
done,
to
so
get
that's
it
wonderful.
for his
Proud of
induction.
you.
You'll be
We'll
back
see
for
you
your
in August,
induction
yes.
soon.
Yes,
So-
yes. Proud of you.
Thank you very much, Coach.
And thanks to all of you for watching The Object of the Game. If you've missed any episode, you can always watch it on the Big Play Network's YouTube channel. We are live on X every Monday. And also the Rock Entertainment Sports Network. You can see us at 4 o'clock on Mondays. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right back here next time.